What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Neg Entropy Chronicles. Now remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click that notification bell to be alerted anytime I drop a new video. So you saw the title. I'm not going to waste no time. Let's go ahead and get into it, alright?
If it's not mine, I'm walking away. That's it. That's it. Nothing else to talk about. If you're just talking about what I'm going to do, I don't know what they going to do, but I know I'm out.
Hold up, pause. First of all, women take care of children that aren't theirs all the fucking time and don't make a big ass deal about it. No, pause.
Dear AMS, what's your stand on mandatory DNA testing for kids? Lately, I've been very paranoid about unknowingly taking care of another man's child and then finding out years later, ... Man's not Santa.
That's what he said.
I respect it.
Who is this man?
He said man's not Santa.
That's how he ended the question?
Kofi from Woolwich, UK.
Thank God.
Yo, we're praying for you, Kofi.
Thank you, Kofi.
Oh my God.
Thank you, God.
So how do y'all feel about the question?
So I feel like you should definitely be. I think that testing needs to be mandatory. It's like people.
Wow.
It should be mandatory because
But if you're not slinging your dick around, then you won't be scared about who's
It's
pregnant
not
by
about
Alright, so this is where I have a problem with that statement that she made. Really, because it had nothing to do with what the man is doing out in the streets. We're talking about paternity. That's it. And I could be knocking down 300 women all at the same time, but I'm trying to find out if the child is mine. Is completely different. Already showing that there's a defense mechanism that's creeping in without even having the thought process of what is being said addressed. Let's get back into it.
it's not about us.
You may
though, it's
have a
like
partner right before me.
Exactly.
Or
I think that the United States making DNA testing mandatory is stupid. I don't think that, it's something that if you feel like you need a DNA test, go do that on your own time because you feel that way. I don't think every person, there's millions of people in the United States. Like, it doesn't make sense that people could be using that time to do other things. Like, you could be saving a life. You could be in a hospital saving a life.
So it's like
They really acting like getting a paternity test takes so much stress and work to do. All you do is swab. Give me get in there. That's all you gotta do. That's it. And then you send it off and they do lab work. You could be out saving a life. They think it's stupid. There's so many people. There's other things you could be doing. Like what? Defrauding the government some other way? You know what I'm saying? Let's get back into it.
if a woman is claiming you to be the father of the child, you may, let's say you're not with that woman, which that happens a lot, in today's society. There's some doubt that this is probably not my child, but instead of, confronting it on both ends where I feel like it should just be a mandatory. Don't tell somebody the father of the child, but that there's a doubt, like if you had slept with someone in between.
I mean, you can avoid the doubt by going by God and getting married and.
But we're talking about real life.
Do that.
I hear you.
Stupid. What are we talking about? Come on, man. Going by God and getting married is going to stop somebody from faking a paternity? There are plenty of women who cheated during marriages. And the kid ain't theirs. The people don't find out until they got to take the kid to the doctor. And then the doctor be like, yeah. You see what I'm saying? Let's get back to it, all right?
Marriage is real life.
All right, Samantha. Now we're talking about human nature. In real life, what actually happens, in a practical universe, what actually happens, mistakes happen.
I think men have the right to know for sure, but it's definitely,
Thank you, Jerome.
no problem, guys. No problem.
Why are they smacking?
It's insulting.
They looking at this one all the way over here. This one. They looking at her like she crazy for saying that they have the right to know. I want y'all to really peep game. Look at these faces. Boom, boom, boom. They looking at her like she's a mad woman for even saying that they have the right to know. Wow.
It's definitely
Thank you, Jerome.
no
Please
problem,
let me know.
guys. No problem, guys.
no, like,
It's
that's not
insulting, though. I mean, I think men definitely deserve to know it's their right. Just like if a woman's like out there like that, she deserves to know who the father is as well. But I think it's definitely insulting if you're in a relationship and you're married and your partner wants you to have a DNA test.
No, it's more
that
insulting.
ain't straight.
No,
that
but
kid not yours. That's
the
way
kid not
more
yours, so you
insulting.
raise it. It's like, yeah, you raise it, and that's, you know, that's your
It
child
is.
at the end of the day. But
But
if
we
you had
together.
known that and you had that,
You can still cheat.
you didn't give that person that decision.
I feel like if you're in a marriage, you're happy, you're having babies, and it takes a lot to get to that place where, you know, you're having babies with someone if you're responsible. For the question to be asked, can you take a DNA test? I mean, are you kidding me? Like, what is this? Like, what did we go down the aisle for? What did we say those vows for? If you're not gonna automatically know that this baby is yours.
So this is
Okay, I kind of get where she's coming from. It's the ideology of trust. If we really locked in together, you should be able to trust me that the child is mine. But this is not what that particular question is. They've internalized it and made it like the dude is asking the woman for paternity. But instead, if you make it mandatory, it removes all conversation. Just get it done, and everybody keeps it moving. Like I learned a statistic. It's a country, one of the countries out in Africa. Over 60% of the husbands are not actually the fathers, or you know, the ones that they say are the father are not. That's 60%. That's 6 out of 10 men are not the fathers of these children. That's insane. You know what I mean? So you expect somebody to be 100% trustful. It's a great traditional viewpoint, you know, to be like, yeah, this is my baby and all of that stuff. But women been lying about paternity forever. So we can't even use that as a viable thing. But it's nice to be able to think that you could trust somebody, but we got to be realistic in this. And let's keep it going.
what I'm gonna say. I think that y'all want this to be mandated because of a conversation you are not strong enough to have with your girl. 1. 2.
Sign language off rip. They always go to the insults instead of dealing with the actual question. You know what I'm saying?
You requesting DNA, first of all, this is a very gendered question, right? There's no way for a woman, well, let me not speak for every woman. Mm-hmm. For me specifically, there's no way if my man came up to me, I wouldn't feel some type of offense. But fine, if you have the right to know whether it's your child or not, because I know this is my child, right? But to say that it's mandated is where I have a problem. Who is picking up those costs? The U.S. government? The U.S. government should be paying for these mandatory tests for you to know. No, first of all, we have so many issues in this country already. To then place that type of payment on the U.S. government
Just
is
add it
wrong.
to a plan.
No,
Just on your healthcare plan.
no. And first
Check
of
the
all,
box that
first
you're
of all,
doing.
first of all, healthcare does not cover so many ailments that are like people are dying from.
I get
Not
that.
even just ailments, like feminine products.
Just feminine products. So for you to make that mandatory, that would have to be a government issue.
Do you know that?
If you want a mandatory test,
Which I do.
you pay for it
Which I
yourself.
better get.
You pay for
I got
it
the money
yourself.
for it.
So
I will
that's
pay
fine.
for it.
That's fine. So
I'll
let's
pay
make it
for
clear.
it.
I wonder if she has kids, because the way she's talking is that it's super expensive to do DNA testing. It's not expensive. Even if you go get the kit from Walgreens or, you know, CVS or something like that, it's not overly priced. So her using that as a scapegoat to get out of potentially being mandated to do a test, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean? Like, her argument is already starting to just keel over like piece by piece. But let's get back to it.
So let's make it clear.
Because
If
you know that a lot of
let me
women-
finish my sentence.
All right, go ahead.
Let me finish my sentence. I personally pay taxes, and I care about where my money goes. I'm not here to pay for so-and-so because there's a confusion about who's the father. That's not my business.
A lot of us pay
Handle
taxes.
Your personal shit, And for me, I want to fund schools. I want to fund the MTA because the trains are never on time. We got bigger problems. We have bigger problems. I'm sorry. I'm not paying for no mandatory tests.
It's amazing. We got bigger problems, so you're going to compare it to a train. You want to pay for schools. Do you even know how your taxes really work when it comes to paying taxes and schooling? Why don't you just pay out of pocket and fund a school? Because you said that's where you want your money to go. Why aren't you doing it? Also, there are plenty of men who have been defrauded. The average cost for a child is $250,000 for the life of 18 years. So if you're paying half of that, that's $125,000 that could have been back to you, where you could have done something possibly great for the community, right? Or went to a school, as she claims that she wants to do. But to act like people that are getting defrauded and lied to and manipulated and tricked is not an issue shows how much she really cares about anything, for real. But let's get back into it.
When you're saying mandatory requires everyone to do it. Not everybody can pay for it.
No.
That's you're adding stuff. You're adding stuff. Hey man, let me finish my shit.
Ooh.
When you say
just foul mouth,
that includes people that are having children that don't necessarily have the money to pay for this test. A mandated thing is going to be covered by the government.
So that means if you can
afford it. If you can't afford it. But you're not. So here's my thing. So the U.S. government is going to take care of it. We have too many other issues that are way more pressing than you knowing the fidelity of your relationship and whether that be your child. If you personally,
got one for you. You know what? Boom, got it. Say your whole life, right? This would be for her. Say for your whole life, you grew up thinking that your father was your father, and finally you find a dude, you get with this guy, everything is hunky-dory. Well, your mother runs into this kid's father, and she gets pale-faced. You're like, Mom, what's wrong? Well, that's the man she messed around, right? While your daddy was thinking you was his, messed around with a dude, you were born. Now you're messing with your half-brother. Ugh! Just nasty, ain't it? But if you don't know the paternity, how can you then say it's not important? Because you never know who you could be messing around with that might actually be family members. That's why it's good to know who the pappy is. But let's get back into it.
We want to check for your child. That's you. But to say that it's mandatory across the country, that's crazy. And it's inconsiderate. And it's
you saying that you will pay for it, right?
Yeah, I'll pay for it.
So if it costs $5,000, you're gonna pay for a DNA test that costs $5,000?
Does it cost $5,000?
For every child, it doesn't matter.
DNA testing for my parents was $500.
I have a question though. Would you be okay with your wife having you do a lie detector test, whether you cheat on her or not?
Why not?
What does a lie detector have to do with DNA of a child? Like, these women want to argue to defend women to the point where it's just they're moving the goalpost now. Makes zero sense.
But if you were doing something wrong though,
I wouldn't be.
Exactly. So why would the DNA be like mandatory?
God bless you. Why are we even at this topic?
But this is what I'm saying. This question.
No, because you know what's crazy? In the hospital, women. In the hospital, women do ask for a DNA test. People do ask on the leg. They'll pull a nurse aside and be like, "Can you know?" After the
and that's fine. If the question is about it being mandated, so understand what that means.
You know why the question on this question? I think for sure that the person that was writing this was talking about they're talking about like when you're requesting it, like it should be mandatory. Where like let's say a dad is like acting like this isn't his child. You should be able to say, "Oh, had this DNA test," and they can't deny it.
If a dad is acting like that's not their child, and a woman
they can say no to a paternity test.
No, he cannot. If a court says you gotta take a mandatory test, you have to take it.
But if you are mandating it across the country, understand the effects of.
And here's the problem when they're talking about this. He can deny not going, but then if he doesn't show up to court, he's deemed the father by default. So yet again, that's almost a mandate. If you don't show up to court, we're going to make you the father of the kid. So they don't even realize they're kind of leaning towards that way anyways.
to what that's gonna be.
Versus a court order.
And are completely different things. So when y'all wilding talking about when you're wilding saying that it should be mandated for the whole country, when there are so many other issues that we have to tend to because of your personal issues with your girl.
It's both of us. It's me and you. What you mean?
Over here doing stuff. I don't know if this is mine.
So you speak to her. That's a personal problem.
I gotta take your word
That's
for
a,
it.
you know what I'm saying? That's a personal problem, not a country one.
Is that a personal problem?
It is a personal problem.
Now, this is where the problem comes in, because she says it's a country problem. It's not a country problem. But if it's happening countrywide, that then deems it a country problem. Because they have plenty of people who have gone to prison for children that aren't theirs because they're not paying the child support. There's some reason, some way, somehow, these women are pushing to say that they're the fathers, even though they've never had relations with these women. They just needed a name on paper, and these people become the fathers. That is a problem. I just don't understand why in their minds these women are like, no, we gotta fight this and try to make it where the dude's weak. He can't talk to her, so this, and this. Let's get back into it.
You don't know if that's your child. That's personal. The country don't got to deal with that shit.
She don't know either. I'm on the yellow side.
That's a personal problem.
But you don't know either way, though. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Nobody knows. Like,
that's still a personal.
I don't trust her.
I don't
trust the
baby.
Like,
You hear what I'm saying, right? The argument is that it's personal.
I think it should only be mandated if it's not if you're not in marriage.
Yeah,
if you're in marriage,
Right. Absolutely not. We are this.
Women in this situation about the topic in which we're talking about, pregnancies and DNA tests, in most cases they're not, is going to be you have doubts about who the women cheating, and that's why the baby may not be yours. The direct topic question was from a man asking he doesn't want to raise another man's child. So in that case, who would have cheated? The woman. So yeah, in those situations, it's gonna always be about a woman. You're trying to get a DNA test. If it's a man outside the relationship, he gonna bring the evidence of the cheating. He gonna bring the child. And that's like the part where that's where it hurts the most. Like that's the time where it should be mandatory. If I'm in a if
in
you're
a marriage,
and that's, but that's when it happens.
You're cheating. That's why you would want it. You cheating because you try to abuse her.
First of all, it does have. It's not when it's in that situation. More times than not, when it's like a relationship, is usually the woman who's committed infidelity because the guy is assuming if you're in a relationship, if you're married and you're in a relationship, the man is assuming. And most times when you're on Maury, you watching these cases, or you hear about these stories. You're assuming that.
I almost died because Shabazz said women are usually the one that's unfaithful. He sounds like he's guilty of something because a lot of time in a lot of culture, the man is normally the one that's out there cheating. And even guys that are religious, even people that are, I know people personally that are, that go to church every Sunday, but they still cheating on their wives. So I don't know what he's talking about.
The person that you...
It's interesting that she wouldn't even acknowledge that women actually cheat. It's just men, mostly men. There's men. But this is about women.
Where it's automatically that's your child. And that's why a man asks this question. It was directly gender related. A man is asking that question. If you're outside, that's another big thing because everyone's right to do. They were single, whatever. But when you're with somebody, the person that have a question is about if they're the father of that child. They go through the rest of this child's life taking care of it. And if that was me, after 18 years, they're not gonna turn your back on the child. But if I had known from day one, I'm out.
Hold up, pause. First of all, women take care of children that aren't theirs all the fucking time and don't make a big ass deal about it.
Oh, look. We really got to get this for real. Women take care of kids all the time that are not theirs. Correct. But they know that the child's not theirs. God, stupid. What is we talking about? I feel like these New York rappers, what is we talking about, man? It's insane. The dude even tried to explain it like, if I'm raising a kid for 18 years and I didn't know, but if I have a choice in the beginning, I'm out. That's logical. But she want to try to compare him? This dude is talking about not knowing who the kid is, not knowing that he's not the kid's father. Let's get back into it, all right?
Pause. No.
What you say? You're saying that.
I am saying that.
But you have a choice. You know it. You know that's not your kid.
Pause. What I'm making a declaration between is the fact that this is a personal problem that you have with your girl, and you're making a country responsibility when we have other things to tend to first.
If it's not mine, I'm walking away. That's it. That's it. Nothing else to talk about. If you're just talking about what I'm gonna do, I don't know what they gonna do, but I'm out.
I don't think there's any issue with a man taking care of another man's child. Women do it all the time, whether you know or not. He might bring another child and say, "Oh, I had this out of our wedlock. You know, what are we gonna do?" Or he's taking your money and paying child support to another family. You had no idea. So when we're just like jumping, like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that." Hold on, it's already being done.
You could have been.
How can you say that? How can you say, I don't see nothing wrong with a man taking care of other dudes' kids without their knowledge? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying that they had the choice? That's what I'm trying to figure out. She just want to argue and be right. Godly, this is stupid.
Doing so many other things with your life. You could have been figuring your life out. I don't know, feeding pigeons. I don't know, doing anything. But you raising a kid that is not yours. I mean, if you had the option to know that was your kid and you wanted to raise that kid, that's perfectly fine. A lot of people do that. But when you don't know, you're doing it out of the obligation or the mindset that this is my child. I'm gonna raise him or her. I'm gonna raise them up. I love them. This is my DNA. This is my blood. And then come to find out that's not your kid.
There's a clear like disrespect going on, right? If I have and double standard. Yes, I understand. It's fucked up if somebody has a child for you and it's not for you and expecting you to raise it. I get that. But what I'm saying is that women, first of all, have to do that all the time. But women are in these circumstances. Can I finish my damn sentence?
Go ahead.
Women are in the circumstance where they need to take care of a child that isn't theirs all the time. And I understand that, again, that it ends up being a choice, right? Because you're aware. Can I? So that's what I said, Shabazz. So what's up?
But you're not making it.
I am making a point. If you let me finish, I will finish it. Stop interrupting me.
Because you're not saying nothing.
Because you keep interrupting me.
Finish it. So we can say the same thing we've been saying. You're not giving the person a choice. Me and Akon talking about a choice.
I just said that.
Everybody's sitting there looking at you the same way.
No, we're trying to listen. You trying to claim that. First of all, I understand it's a choice.
Whew. So that is episode part 1 of this madness. If you like what you saw, comment part 2. Go in the comment section and comment part 2. And I will make another one, have it up for you, see what your thoughts are. And also remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna be honest, that girl is driving me nutty. She ain't saying nothing. She didn't say nothing in that whole part. I just let run. I let it run just to see what she was gonna say. She ain't say nothing. Trying to compare things that are not comparable. She had already lost. But be on the lookout for more videos. All right, everybody? Peace.